Hello, and thank you for joining us. With over 55% of small to medium-sized businesses consuming cloud services, it's no wonder that operators are looking at this lucrative market. But whether they're acting as service brokers or they are providing the service themselves, it makes you wonder how well do they actually know the needs and requirements of this unique sector. For example, which services, from cloud perspective, do SMB consume? How do they want to consume it? And whether they're actually looking at the service providers as a first choice for cloud services. Joining me to this session will be Mr. Ian Parkes from Coleman Parkes. Coleman Parkes has just completed a very unique study sponsored by Amdocs, which will be revealing unique insights from key SMB decision makers about their consumption habits. How do they want to consume cloud services? What do they think about the cloud consumption providers? And last but not least, what should the service providers do to attract the SMBs and lure them to stay on board? Ian, thank you very much for joining me. Could you explain to me a little bit about the recent research that you've done? Which audience have you interviewed, and what were the key methodologies that you used in the research?
We set out to really understand a whole range of things, as you've mentioned, around cloud activity within SMBs. And we undertook a global study of 1,311 precisely SMBs. We decided to look at it in multiple ways. The first one was looking at what we were calling different marketplaces. So we have transition markets, we have mature markets, and we have emerging markets. And in the mature marketplace, we typically sampled SMBs in the US, Canada, Australia, Germany, and the UK. And that accounted for around about 70% of the sample. We then did another 3 countries in what we've termed transition markets, so slightly more than the emerging, and that covered Brazil, Argentina, and Russia. And then finally, to look at what's happening and to draw some comparisons within the emerging market, we sampled 300 SMBs in the Indian and Indonesian marketplaces. Now, to get a good cross-section, what we did was we defined an SMB initially as a company with 5 to 500 employees, but we then stratified the sample, as researchers do, to enable us to look at different sizes of those SMBs and draw comparisons. We also interviewed a range of different SMBs by vertical sector. So we covered things like manufacturing, engineering, automotive, telecoms, communications, media and entertainment, and pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and so we got a good cross-section. Most importantly was who took part, because we wanted to ensure that we spoke to, or at least interviewed, senior decision makers within the small, medium-sized companies. And typically their job roles would be, in the smaller the SMB, the owner-manager, in the larger the SMB, a senior director or board director.